All right, so thank you for joining me on part 4 of the Babylonian Doctrine and Babylonian Prophecy series, where we're analyzing secret religions, secret societies, and esoteric thought, and all these things that are contributing to the one world unity prophecy that Revelation talks about with Babylon and the doctrines of Babylon. So now we are on the New Age. So the New Age founders taught of a one world religious system, claiming to have this special knowledge by speaking to spirits or masters, they called them, that taught or revealed to them these things. They revealed to them of a coming new age of enlightenment and spirituality. Okay, so these are what these women that were founders of this claim to be in contact with. And we're going to give this a minute so it can work. So first of them was Alice Bailey, who was influenced by the founders of the Theosophical Society, mostly by those like Madame Blavatsky and Annie Besant. And Alice Bailey continued their teachings, which developed into the modern New Age ideas. So here are some things about Alice Bailey that she brought into her teachings that had an influence in modern society of today, of those that claim to be New Agers or adopted some of these ideas. So she was taught by her master that she said was from Tibet. And she taught things like that there were 7 rays of energy that were creative forces of the universe, and that they represented divinity. Then she taught soul consciousness and astrology, so like astrological signs, all that kind of stuff, and higher consciousness. She believed in esoteric healing. She believed that she taught that there was a divine spark in every man, or that they had auras. She believed in the return of the new Messiah that she called Maitreya, which is rooted actually in Hindu polytheism. So he's one of the gods of the Hindu beliefs, who will bring the new age into full existence. Now, the Hindu belief systems, they teach this as well in ancient Hindu writings and stuff. They taught of like a cycle that the world goes through, or the age goes through different cycles, and that the final cycle is the cycle of the Lord Maitreya, is what they called him, or the god Maitreya, who in this last cycle before the beginning of a new cycle is like the most like spiritual enlightenment comes from, and like advancement in knowledge and humanity being very advanced, and just like kind of all these things. It's kind of like the golden age. It's called the golden age, I think that's what they call it. And so she believed in that, and she kind of popularized that in the New Age movement in America. She wanted to remove all Judaism, all the aspects of Judaism, even the Bible. She wanted to remove all those influences. She pushed for unity of all nations and religions. Her views were in line a lot with eugenics, a lot of eugenicists, because she believed that each race was in a line or in a different ladder of evolution. She considered the Aryan race, which is usually they would consider that the white race or Caucasian areas, to be the race where intellect and thought were more dominant, and that this race, she called, would eventually overtake the world with Aryan consciousness, linking this to an evolutionary process. So you see, this sounds very similar to the teachings of scientific racism, which taught these kind of things, that the blacks are the lowest of humanity, or the black and brown races are like the lowest, and the white race, or in the Asian cultures, they are like the highest in intellect, highest this and that has to do with evolution and all that kind of thing. So this is in line with that. So she was also had very scientific, like evolutionary science views on stuff. She stated that all religions originate from the same spiritual source. So if you've heard people say that before, this is usually where it comes from, and that humanity will eventually come to realize this, that all religions are the same spiritual source. And when all humanity realizes that all religions are the same, the result will be an emergence of a universal world religion, or what they call a new world order, or one world religion, one world government. So this is coming from her. She's claimed to be receiving these teachings from someone, a master. And remember how Satan can deceive himself as an angel of light. So, even Satan knows the Bible very well. He knows what the Bible says is going to happen. So it's very likely that this is not hidden from these people that are in communication with these kind of angelic beings that are deceptive, but that, they tell them too that this is what's going to happen, that, and prepare them, but they tell them it's a good thing, while the Bible tells us that this is contrary to the goal or will of God. She, along with all their occultists, believe that the East is a true home of spiritual knowledge and occult wisdom. Alice Bailey was a big influencer of the teachings of New Paganism and in Wicca, and a big influence on modern culture, like the ideas of modern culture today. She also claimed to have visions of the arrival of this false Messiah, false Christ, but it failed repeatedly. So she kept making predictions with dates, that this is when the New Age is going to start, and this is when the Messiah is going to come, and each one of them failed. So after they kept failing, basically she just said that eventually we will know what come when this Messiah arrives, or whatever, or when all religions are one. So this is what she taught. Then there's Annie Besant. She was part of the Theosophical Society. She was influenced by Madame Blavatsky. That was her teacher, I think. And as you can see on the screen, she was a 33-degree Freemasonry, but on the outside she's depicted as a women's rights activist, socialist, writer, and philanthropist. But many do not teach or are not aware that she was a Freemason. And she promoted heavily their beliefs, and she believed that it was actually the true brotherhood of perfecting humanity. Now, she was extremely critical of Christianity. She wrote a lot of books and a lot of derogatory statements towards the Christian beliefs. And she wrote other books as well, teaching New Age ideas like ancient wisdom, karma, esoteric Christianity. So again, that word esoteric. So this is why I introduced it earlier, because in the other part video, because this is something that they repeat a lot. Consciousness, New Age, the New Age term that's often used by them, occult, teaching of yoga, immortality. And this is what Revelation, all these things that she's teaching about, is all the things that Revelation 14 calls us to come out of, is come out of Babylon and her doctrines. And these are Babylonian doctrines that are being taught here. Now, not going to go too much into her. That was all the main stuff, that she was 33rd degree Freemasonry. So you can see where her views were on that, like how they correlate. Next one is Madame Blavatsky. Now, this is the main person that I want to talk about, because she was a major influence, the major influence of the New Age movement. She was the founder of the Theosophical Society. And she influenced a lot of New Age thought ideas in American society. So a lot of Eastern thought, philosophy, she popularized in America. So she was a Russian occultist. She was once an occultist, but then she joined the spiritualistic movement, the spiritual movement, which the spiritualist movement was a movement that they popularized the idea of communicating to spirits and like miracles and ghosts and just like all the things that God forbade us to be involved in, practice in the Old Testament and the New Testament. This movement did. They did all these miraculous things that was very deceptive and influenced a lot of the culture into this direction. She claimed to have communication with the ascended masters of ancient times that guided her on her journey. So the ascended masters is here on the screen. As you see, the Europeanized up here depiction of Jesus is on here, and all these other ascended masters that includes Muhammad, Buddha, Hammurabi, Confucius, and other influencers or founders of religious thought or that had a big impact on society. They kind of put them all in the same boat as the ascended masters. So she reintroduced teachings of Hermeticism and Neoplatonism from the ancient Greeks and Egypt. And she ascribed to theosophy she described theosophy as the synthesis or combination, the reuniting of science, religion, and philosophy. So again, you see that one world ideology, one world religion agenda here, claiming that it was a revival of ancient wisdom. This comprises all world religions. So do you see the parallels here to what Revelation warned about of the title Mystery Babylon? Now, the Greek word mysterion is used for Mystery Babylon in the book of Revelation, meaning hidden, secret, or secret. And in the Strong's Biblical Concordance, it means like esoteric, like some type of secret teaching or esoteric teaching. So generally, religious teachings taught only to the initiated, but not to the masses or regulars. This is what esoteric means, and one of these theosophical founders proudly claimed to know. The Bible, therefore, is telling us that the hidden secret of Babylon is that her teachings have been carried on from pagan religions and nations all the way to today's time, and that they share a lot in common: spiritualism and sun worship. All but the Bible itself, which is why these theosophists were very critical towards the biblical view. This unification of science, religion, and philosophy is the same description of the end-time unification of Babylon, the beast, false prophet, and the dragon that will go after God's people in the end. So think about it. She claims to get these teachings from men from the East called the Ascended Masters, who involve all the human saviors of the past. But doesn't the Bible teach that Satan can transform as an angel of light? Yes. Doesn't Satan know what's on the horizon and therefore give people twisted prophecy of the final crisis? Yes. So she also claimed that she learned a secret language called Sensar, and that's on the top middle. And she identifies as to being the ancient Sanskrit of the Indo-Aryan language, while in Tibet. So she claimed to learn these things while she traveled to Tibet. She traveled to Tibet and she was taught and trained to these things before she came back to America and started to publish her writings and do all these things and have the influence that she had. And I guess she said that certain monks translated that she trained under certain monks, and she translated some of the writings into her books after having a telepathic communication with one of the masters who are revealing this stuff to her. And so one historian notes that she was actually in a trance state when she wrote this, is what she claims. And that they allowed her to read, the Ascended Masters allowed her to read part of this ancient secret language that was forever lost. And she claimed that this language actually came from the Atlanteans in the past. So this makes Blavatsky working as a prophetess in a way. But of the serpent, whether she knew it or not, as there are only two kinds of prophets in the Bible, and the Bible warns how to tell which one's a true and a false prophet based off if they teach what is in line with Scripture. Now, Alice Bailey also claims to translate some of the words of the ancient books of the Atlanteans, is what they call it, or the Senzar language, telepathically also with her Tibetan master. Another note is that Thomas Edison actually became a member of the Theosophical Society of Madame Blavatsky, and that Madame Blavatsky's theosophical views were a form of occultism, seeking to revive. Her goal was to revive occult science. She believed that theosophy was revealed to Plato, one of the famous Greek philosophers, and to a lot of the Hindu sages of the ancient times. She connected ancient wisdom to Hermetic philosophy, and she blamed the control or the dominance of Christianity. Well, I think she mostly means Catholicism in Europe. Why? And that this is why the ancient magic tradition was lost, except continued in India and some parts of Africa. So because of Christianity, she said this is why this did not flourish as much as it did, this ancient religion, ancient ideas, because of Christianity. So she puts the blame on that, and that Christianity suppressed these things. And actually she means Catholicism, because remember, Catholicism is the Babylon, the mother of all harlots, talked about in Revelation 17. So, but she's putting all in the same box. And she believed that in the future, soon, theosophy would spread across the whole world and cause a big revival. She also viewed herself as a kind of messiah. She called herself a messiah. She felt like her calling was to bring this to the people. Blavatsky also viewed Jesus as, not in the biblical sense, but as a human that gained secret wisdom and reached higher consciousness. Other things about her, facts about her: she believed blacks and aboriginals to be inferior to white race, similar to Alice Bailey's views, again supporting these eugenicist ideas that were prevalent at the time, and viewing them as half animal. She also taught in pantheism, and this is like the view of God as a universal being, or she viewed God as a universal divine principle rather than just like the typical view of a God, and that everything contains a spark of divinity. She taught reincarnation and karma, and she was considered a central figure in the 19th century occult revival. So some historians note that this man named Lackman claimed that practically all modern occultism and esotericism can trace back to her influence. Same for the New Age movement, Eros-Sophy, and Anthroposophy. So these are what historians are saying about her, admitting that she had the major influence. Blavatsky paved the way for the emergence of later movements like the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Transcendental Meditation Movement, Zen Buddhism, and yoga in the West. One of the other historians, Hutton, believed that the two greatest achievements of Blavatsky's movement were in popularizing the belief in reincarnation and in a singular divine world soul within the rest. So if you don't know anything about the world soul, I think I might end up talking about this in the later parts in one of the topics. But the world soul is believing like, and this is in Neoplatonism. So Neoplatonism brought this idea, and not even Neoplatonism, I think just Hinduism and a lot of the other ancient religions, like polytheistic, heathenistic religions taught this, but that there was a world soul, that the world has a soul, and that we're all connected to this world soul, and that our souls are connected to this world soul, and this world soul is really the divine. It's almost like this world soul is the God, that this world soul is what continues our existence and continues life on this earth. And without this world soul, we would not exist. So it's almost like the world soul, the world itself, or the earth, is the God. And you can see this in a lot of like those beliefs in Gaia and the earth goddess and all that. So usually you can trace back these influences to the leading figure in one's life, But this is a strange case for Blavatsky, as she claimed to be taught these things by masters, which we as Bible believers know to be real false messengers of demons in the form of angel of light. So I believe that she was deceived and used as a product to carry on the plan of Lucifer for the end time world in America by incorporating spiritualism, which in reality is theosophy traced back to esoteric religions and Gnosticism. And the Bible warned that in the last days many people would depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits. And you will find this here in 1 Timothy 4:1-2. Now the Spirit expressly says that in the latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons, speaking lies in hypocrisy, having their own conscience seared with a hot iron. So this is the warning that 1 Timothy says, that there will be a rise in people leaving the teachings of the Bible and of the gospel and Christians, and going after these other spirits, these other doctrines that are in reality demonic, and that these demons lie to people. They lie and they are hypocritical. And that the reason why these people will fall into this is because their conscience have been seared or sealed with a hot iron, as in they've been impressed so much with this that this is just how they are deceived. So that is it for the New Age founders and Madame Blavatsky, if many did not know that. Now, part 5 will be of Freemasonry and how this comes to play and in connection with all of these things. And join me on that next part of the video. Thank you for watching this.